Rupinder Gill was 30 years old when it officially dawned on her she had missed out on regular Canadian childhood adventures. She did not learn to swim or tap dance, nor did she ever go to Disneyland, a sleepover, or summer camp. She did spend a lot of time eating junk food, watching Scooby-Doo, cleaning the house, and visiting with her many cousins. Her first memoir is funny and revealing about what it's like to grow up in mostly white Kitchener, Ontario, with Indo-Canadian parents who were loving but restrictive. It is my pleasure to welcome Rupinder Gill to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Thanks for having me.
I'm dying to know what the parents said when they read On the Outside Looking Indian.
I was also dying to know. That was the one review that I was waiting for, and my dad read it a few weeks before it came out, and he liked it, which made me very happy, and he sent me an email saying, it's a nice book.
It's a nice book.
Which from him is a great compliment.
I see. And what did your mother think?
She was fine with it. They were actually both very supportive of me writing it, and I dedicate the book to my parents and to my siblings because when you write a book about your life, you're essentially writing about the other people in your life, and it was nice of them to allow me to do so.
And where were you in the family structure?
I'm the second oldest.
Second oldest. So there's how many sisters? Four?
Four sisters, and then many years later, my little brother.
My little brother, which your mother didn't really tell you about. It was kind of a private thing.
Yeah, I found out one day when we were shopping, and she was buying a teddy bear, and I said, oh, who is that bear for? And she said, for the baby. And I said, whose baby? And she said, mine. And so that was how I found out and let everybody else know.
I see. So she didn't sit the family down.
No, that wouldn't be done, really.
Take me back to Rupinder Gill, the young girl in Kitchener, Ontario. I'm sure you could speak a little German, perhaps.
I didn't get around to learning it, though I'm sure every other child there could, yeah.
I know you had two braids.
Yes, I had two braids. I have a permanent part in my hair still from where the hair just receded from my years of two braids, and that is me on the cover with my two braids.
And what were the rules in the Gill house? I mean, general rules. My girls and the brother can do certain things. Here's what they can do.
You know, the rules really loosened as the years went by, so it was mostly, you know, just stay around here, be where we can, keep an eye on you, which is why we were often home and watching TV. Do your homework, do well in school, that's what you're here for. As my parents would always say, like all parents did, this, you know, you're not going to school for a fashion show, and just doesn't matter if you have the cool clothes the other kids have, you're there to learn, and then you come home and do your homework, and that's your day.
Right, all good values.
Exactly.
Sure, but you said your clothes were uncool.
They were very uncool. Either they were homemade, and often my sister and I would go to school in matching dresses, which my mom thought was a wonderful thing. Every two sisters would want to wear, or they would be clothes that we had bought from India or in stores that when you're younger you don't really want to be seen in. Bargain stores are probably the only ones I would shop in now, but as a kid, you know, you want to have the cool clothes everybody else has, so you fit in with everybody else.
Yes, cool clothes with the label, and your parents said, no, we'll go to, is it Best Buy or Best Way?
It was Byway. I'm not sure if we had Byways out west.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, it was not where you wanted to get your outfits.
Some critics said this book is too funny to be read all at once. What wasn't funny to you growing up?
Well, it is a humor book, and I do see a lot of humor in my childhood now, but growing up, I did get a lot of no's, everything I wanted to do. Whatever my friends, who were all white, were doing, I wanted to be a part of that as well, and my parents always said no, so I always felt like I was missing out on something.
Well, what did your dad or your mom think would happen to you if you went to a sleepover?
I don't think they even knew what that meant or what people did at it, so they always sort of had the worst case scenario in their minds, perhaps, of what would happen there, and they preferred we would just stay at home because they also didn't know our friends and they didn't know our friends' parents, so they didn't feel very comfortable with the situation.
Sure, and they thought perhaps a serial killer will be at these sleepovers.
Of course, a killer was going to come, or, you know, drugs, or as most third graders would be doing, or, you know, just bad stuff.
But you did spend a lot of time watching television, from Scooby-Doo to Dallas.
And Dallas in third grade I was watching, so it was funny that we couldn't go to sleepovers, but we could watch everything that J.R. Ewing was doing, which was really not for kids. But that was mainly our pastime when we were growing up, is we would get home and watch, you know, the Golden Girls, because I had a lot in common with 4 senior citizen ladies living in Miami, and that would be our day, 4 o'clock, back-to-back Golden Girls, and we would just basically watch TV the whole night.
Yeah, what is Maude doing, or what was Maude doing? And J.R. Ewing, too. That's so interesting. So you felt when you were 30 that you'd missed out a bit
Yes.
on your childhood, or really your teenagehood.
Yeah, I was away for the weekend with my girlfriends from high school, and we were at somebody's cottage, and everybody was swimming, and I had never learned how to swim. And so that was the day I finally realized there were a lot of things I didn't do in my childhood, and I'm an adult now, and I should learn those skills or have those experiences, or I'm always going to define myself by what I didn't do.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did a lot of tidying up.
Oh, I'm a great cleaner. I can vacuum a room in a minute flat.
Okay, so your mom and dad said you're allowed to watch TV and you can eat ketchup chips.
Yeah, chips day and night.
Chips day and night. And tidy up a lot because you lived in a relatively crowded space initially, right?
Yeah, so it was like a lot of Indian families would be. It was our extended family. So my grandma was there, my aunts, my uncles. As we got older, we moved into our own home, just our immediate family. But it was a very big, boisterous Indian family.
Right. A sense of privacy?
Well, we would share a room, the kids, but when I was quite young, it would be my two aunts who were at that time teenagers, and my older sister and I, we would share a room and we would watch Love Boat every day on our black and white TV before we went to bed.
So your personal space really wasn't a virtue?
No.
Necessarily. Is it an Indian culture necessarily?
Well, it's a luxury that unfortunately a lot of people don't have
Of
if
course.
you are in India. So I went to India with my mom a few years ago, and you know, we have a lot of space here, and the personal space we have is so abundant in comparison to what they have there. So
Exactly. But you didn't have a dog. So many young Canadian girls and boys have dogs. You didn't tap dance, and now there are some parents who said nobody in my family will tap dance,
Right.
whether you're white, green, or pink. When did you know you had to go on this adventure to New York
well,
to
it's
relive?
right. I'd always dreamt of living in New York, and I tell a story in there when I went. I'd saved all my money from cashiering at Walmart, my high-flying high school job, to go on the senior class trip to New York, and I was just so awed by the city, and I just thought it's so magical here. And so in this year, which funnily enough, when I was writing this book, I had no idea how the year was going to end, and I had no idea how the book would end. But as I was going through all of these different goals and achieving things, I just thought, this feels great, and now I'm going to put something new in place, and I'm going to move to New York for a while because I've always dreamt of doing that. And if I'm in this indulgent year of sort of living out everything I want to do, I may as well throw that into the mix.
Why not do it in New York, where you knew no one or a few people?
I had a few
you knew
friends, yeah.
Couple. But lonely times. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody who's moved by themselves to a city knows. First day is a bit euphoric, but you think, oh, it'll just take me a couple days to make friends, and it takes a lot longer than that.
And it's a hard city to settle into, and that's part of what I learned through the experiences of this book, is that things that I had wanted as a kid didn't necessarily translate as an adult, or there was a reason why my parents would have maybe said no to things, and you have a very idealized view of how things are going to turn out. And when I got to New York, it wasn't this great fantasy that I thought it would be, and I was fairly bored, I was lonely, and I didn't really have a reason for being there, and so I hadn't really thought it through.
Did you have a proper job?
I was writing, and I detail that in the book. I was writing for a teen blog, which was funny for me because I didn't really have the typical teenage experience, and writing a teen blog when you're 30, I didn't really have a way to relate to teens. So I'd written one entry where it was a humorous teen blog, so I was talking about Harry Potter, and I mentioned Dumbledore, and then the comments just blew up of, this writer is a fool, doesn't she know Dumbledore has died? Which, no, I don't. So I actually got fired from that job.
You were faking it just a little bit.
Exactly.